With Twitter being a bit unstable, a lot of people are flocking to one particular social media platform, LinkedIn. If you're like me a few years ago, you probably think that LinkedIn is just a place where people have their resumes and a social media profile. I always thought it was just a more public Rolodex tool. In some ways, that's true. However, LinkedIn can be a superpower when it comes to enhancing your network, aka your Rolodex. So in this video, I'm going to dive into LinkedIn and show how it can be dramatically helpful in building your startup. So here we are in LinkedIn, and the first thing is more of a minor thing, but I want to make sure that I do bring it up, is that like posting in LinkedIn actually has way more value than you might realize. So even if you don't have a big following, just be able to say like, hey, I exist, and just remind people that you're around can create different opportunities. So for me personally, I post about once a week, and I don't have this like bigger follow. I don't have this massive following. So if I go to my own profile here, so like I have a little over 3,000 followers. So it's a decent following, but it's not this massive thing. But it has created a lot of opportunities for me. And also just it reminds people that I exist. I get a lot of probably a few just DMs, direct messages, every week or so, and it's just like more checking in, and people know that you exist, and can create more opportunities than you can realize. So highly recommend doing that. To do that, what you can do is actually just start a post. And there's all these different like charts, documents. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty of all this because there's like all the types of content you can do with LinkedIn, and there's a ton of content out there and what's working with LinkedIn. But highly recommend, even if it's like simple stuff of like, hey, here's what I'm up to this week, or here's like some accomplishments, or even just like simple videos. Like for me, I actually just like do a couple of these video posts, like more like these shorts, and videos don't necessarily do that well on LinkedIn, but just people I've like giving, there's not a lot of engagement with them, but it's actually like reminded people. So I haven't gotten that many like impressions lately. I'm still kind of playing around with it, but this is definitely something that's had a lot of value for me personally. And just posting even like the YouTube videos that I'm doing, the shorts, just posting stuff that I'm already doing on LinkedIn. Okay, then let's now jump into more of the networking tools. And let's say that you are a CPG founder, so someone that's trying to get into maybe one of these big retailers. One thing that you can really do is try to network into these places. So let's say, so I'm from Hope College. So what I will do is actually see like, is there anyone from the Hope College network that can connect me into the Target network? So if I select like the college that I went to, this is one of the most powerful tools. So if I select alumni, what you can do actually here is really get nitty gritty, right? And people that are in your alma mater or places that you're really connected to, where there's a really strong community, right? The chances of them being willing to help you out or make connections or anything like that, right, goes through the roof, and they're willing to do stuff, even if you maybe not have a personal relationship or you didn't meet them on campus. So let's say in here, right, I'm going to search Target, right, and just see what happens, see if there's any. But you can see there's 11 people that like they work at Target in some way, right? So you can see here there's product manager, there's a store director, there's a inventory analyst, right? So like these two people are probably the people I might want to talk to, and even though they might not be the right people exactly that I need to talk to, right, they probably know who I can talk to. So you can just like, hey, do you know who I can talk to about such and such at Target? That could be really helpful, and at least it's a friendly face in a place you're trying to connect to. So this can be really helpful. The other thing, right, is like maybe if you're trying to just meet people in the ecosystem that you're maybe in, maybe you move to a different city. Let's say like for me, right, I'm in like the New York area. So if I hit New York, like who else is in New York, right? And like it's gonna show like 1,200 alumni. That's pretty significant. But there you can kind of filter out by all the different places. Like these are the big places where people are at. But you can see like, all right, Spectrum Health people are at, where they work, things like that. And you can kind of go from there. So this alumni tool can be really helpful, especially if you went to maybe a bigger university like a Big Ten or an Ivy League, anything like that has a really strong alumni base. But there's 29,000 people for my tiny little school that I went to. Okay, so that is the alumni tool. Let's go into maybe, instead of just maybe you don't have this big alumni base, or maybe you just didn't find the right person with the alumni tool. The other place you can go to is actually just in the search bar and see by connections, right? So what you could do, let's say I just want to search for Target. So you go to the company here, I can click on Target, and you actually can see like who in your network currently is. So you can see, right, it says like 2 people work here, and you can see like the people that are in here. The other thing, right, is you can actually search, right? You can see who, like which schools they're at, which locations they're in. and you can like see who these people are. So everything's really nice and connected, and this kind of right acts like the alumni tool in some ways. It's not as powerful because you probably don't know as many people in the tool, but it can at least show you maybe where people are at, maybe some similar job titles, or like what titles you need to be looking out for. You can get a good sense of like what the titles and like who do you have in your network that's already maybe at Target, or can actually get you the connection into Target. So that can be one way to do it there as well. Now, the other piece, right, I think that's maybe undervalued and that people don't realize is sometimes, right, you have a network that is like, maybe it's not your first connection, but it could be your second connection. So let's say, right, if I go to my network, right, so if I want to go to connections, and this is kind of like the UI, LinkedIn isn't always great, but if you hit select all filters, now I can search, right, by all these different filtered categories. And if you have just like the basic like free profile on LinkedIn, you can do this for free. Now I have like the sales navigator in here too, mostly just for recruiting people to the StartStation Accelerator, but that's a different video for weeks and weeks later on here. But you definitely can do this in like just the free version of LinkedIn. You don't need to have the LinkedIn Pro membership. Now, LinkedIn eventually will limit you a little bit in terms of searching, but it's not terrible to get, especially if you're using maybe this for like fundraising, or if you're looking for to get in front of people with like a CRM and you're doing a lot of good sales through it. I think it's about $60 a month just to have like a pro account, which isn't terrible, especially if you can land right at Target or these big retail or sales just in general. It can be a really good ROI if you're doing it well enough. Now, let's say, right, if I want to see like maybe people that are connected to Target, what I can do here, right, instead of going first connections, I want to see the second connections, right? I've been like, oh, no one's there. Hit search. And then what you can do, right, is go to all filters here. And so I can search by locations, like what they talk about, current company. So let's say like current company is Target, right? And you can just tag it, show results, and like these are the second connections, right? So you can see I have over 400 results of people that are connected to Target. Now, are all these really good like people that can maybe be I want an intro to? No, but at least like, right, it shows you maybe there's a connection points potentially somewhere else. So like a software engineer in Target, like if I know these people, right, that might be good connection points. So there's a multiple ways to get to people where you need to on LinkedIn, which I think is really, really helpful. So if you're looking, especially if you're doing B2B sales, or if you're just looking for maybe mentors or advisors, definitely get into LinkedIn, use these different techniques to find the right people with the right connections. And you probably have the connections that you need. Like the world is smaller than you think. So the connections that you probably need are probably all here in LinkedIn. So that's how you can use LinkedIn for your startup. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you can give it a like. If you're looking for more content like this, you can check out other videos on this channel like this one here.